Pamela? Thank you very much. So today our guest is Sara. She's one of my favorite humans in the entire world. I know I said that a lot, but she's honestly part of the top 5. I have worked with her previously at one company. She works with me now at Cuego Consulting, doing some QA work, and she's just an amazing human, amazing woman, and I'm really excited for her to be able to share her story with us today. So, Sara, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Christina. First and foremost, very excited to be here. Thank you, everyone that joined the call and took some of their time to join and hear me speak about my journey and my experience. So glad to have everyone on the call. A bit about myself. I'm from Colombia. But at the age of 2, I went to America. My parents went on an America journey. So I spent all my childhood in Florida. So that's just like a little bit of glimpse about myself and where I was born, where I was raised. Yeah. I think you're muted, Christine.
Good call out there. It's like the always problem with Zoom nowadays. So some things I want to point out about Sara is that she, is a woman who's coming into tech from a non-traditional background. You'll see in her story that she's taken lots of actions to advocate for herself and kind of chart her own career path. She currently lives in Colombia, South America, so that comes with a lot of different contexts. And I'm excited for her to share her journey with you guys. So, Sara, let's start off with just talking about, obviously you didn't start off in tech as your first career choice or your first, working experience. So what was that journey like for you to even coming to discovering that career tech was an option or a career that you might be interested in?
So, what part of Colombia? Sorry, just saw here in the chat. Medellin, from Medellin, Colombia. Um, so a lot of people tend to know what they want to study in college or what they want to do after high school. They have their set what they really want to do, and some other people don't. Some other people don't know what they actually want to study in high school, after high school, or go to college. And I fall into that category. I didn't really know what I really wanted to study in college, or I really wanted to pursue. I tried a bit of business or administration roles, but it wasn't the right fit for me. But I made a decision in 2018 to embark on a self-exploration journey into to Chile on my own. This journey that I did, I wanted to actually tell myself what I was capable of, what I was not capable of. So it was just a self-discussion, a bark of a journey of self-exploration that I wanted to try. And inside of that journey inside of Chile, I was there for nearly 2 years, and I did a lot of roles inside, a lot of things inside of Chile. I was a waiter, I was a receptionist. I did a whole various things along the way. And a good takeaway that I took from that experience in Chile was getting to know the different culture, getting to know different people from different backgrounds, and also getting to know what I was capable of inside of a different country that was in mine. Um, so that's where I got to very self-taught myself in a lot of things inside of that journey, because I'm a really shy and timid person. So I wanted to fulfill that dream of mine, trying to self-exploration of that. So in 2020, I came back to Colombia. I decided to come back. And prior to that, I had emailed a company about a position, a design role at that time. I knew a bit around about designing, but not that much. And I did various projects as well. I did different projects in designing, but I also was feeling that I wasn't passionate about like designing and designing a lot.
So
But I was
let me stop you there, Sara. So I think it's really important to point out that part of your journey for discovering like that tech was even an option or something you like was taking the time to, you know, explore, in your case, the world, right? You traveled, you did a lot of different jobs to figure out the kind of things that you like. And then you took a chance by applying for a designing role, which you said you didn't have any previous experience in, but you kind of got to learn along the way, right?
Exactly. Yes, I got to learn along the way. I'm a very initiative person. I'm very curious. I like to take initiatives and I like to do what I really want to do. And if I really want to learn something, I take the initiatives in learning and self-teaching myself, even with videos, YouTube videos, or also reaching out to people that also have similar experience, because reaching out, hearing from other people's experience can also help you out a lot to understand different things in life. So
Definitely.
going back to the design role, I was then approached with the opportunity to go with a client, with a company, starting the role of operations specialist. So this was um, a bit more of going into tech, the operations specialist role. That transition from designing to operations specialist was more of a tech progression there.
So
So
when you say operations specialist, is that like customer service? Is it dealing with like complaints or issues and seeing what comes up? What does operations specialist mean?
yes, customer service support, customer attending the needs for the customer service. Uh, um, what inside of the role I learned sorry, about like, yes, helping out the customers inside of their problems, their needs. So inside of the role, I learned a lot about debugging and investigating. So this is more of a technical spot that I've been going in now. So inside of the company, I made a lot of transitions into different roles. So from the operations specialist that I was nearly 1 year, I gained a lot of skills of debugging and highlighting, trying to help out the customer and find a solution
Right.
into those problems.
So,
And
sorry to interrupt you. So if you were coming from not much tech experience, yet I can imagine a lot of the customer issues might have been tech related. Can you tell us a little bit about how you navigated kind of leaning into finding the tech solutions if you didn't have that background and how that process went?
so as I mentioned, I was a very curious, still am a very curious person. So I really wanted to dive in into, hey, how can I give a person a solution? How can I try to solve their problems? So I did a lot of I did a lot of certifications as well. I started off as with an IT support certification. I really want to get to learn of what is tech about? What does a computer do? Like the hardware, the software, the terminal skills inside of the computer. So I did that certification of IT support for 3 months. So I really got to learn a bit more about like the technology about a computer and the programming skills. Um,
So do
and
you think that background knowledge about, you know, learning, you know, you mentioned terminal and learning like the basics of computer hardware, did that really help you in your transition and your career growth by taking the initiative to learn that stuff on your own so that you could understand what was happening behind the scenes?
yes, that first step of taking that certification of IT really did get me into understanding the terms of technology and tech, and how to allow myself to go more into like deep diving into solutions.
Right.
Uh, so into that operation specialist that I was nearly for 1 year, I was approached with the opportunity to help out a bit inside of the QA team inside of the company. But I was still inside of my current role in operations specialist. But I took the initiatives of leaving bits of like breadcrumbs around my task inside of QA where they
Hmm.
needed. So I took those initiatives and I left a little bit of breadcrumbs along the way. So that allowed me to step into another transition inside of a company, which is associate engineer. That allowed me to learn even more experience inside of the QA role. So this is
Okay.
where I
So let me ask you, I'm curious, when you say you left Breadcrumbs, can you explain what breadcrumbs are, what the purpose of them were?
So, leaving breadcrumbs is like making yourself seen into a position that you are desired to be in. So taking what you really want to accomplish and leaving those breadcrumbs along the way so people can know that either you're available or you're interested inside of that role that you want to um, transition into. So yes, being seen into those roles that you want to and um, making yourself heard inside of those roles.
Definitely. So I've seen you in action. I've seen, you do this for myself. And some of the ways that I've seen that actually happen are, you reached out to people in the QA department. You made sure to talk to other people who were in the roles that you wanted to be in and kind of just make sure that it was known that you were going above and beyond to kind of branch out and learn some new things above your current role. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. So I always let myself inquire the curiosity into things. I always felt feel free like to seek clarity in things that you want to learn about. And that's what I let myself into. I reached out to different QA team members, or I reached out to different developers or different other people from different departments, asking them to, hey, do you have a few minutes so we can pair up, so we can contribute, you can share your knowledge to me, asking these questions that lead you to other things. So like always let like curiosity lead you to new things. And this is what led me to explore myself, saying that, hey, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I really enjoy inside of tech, learning the ropes around tech and learning other opportunities along the way inside of the industry.
Yeah. So I'm seeing that you're adventurous career-wise. You're going after the things you want, you're learning on your own. But I also happen to know that you're pretty adventurous in the rest of your life as well. I know that you really enjoy hiking, and recently you told me a story that would really kind of relate to not just personal life, but career development as well. Would you mind sharing that with everybody?
Yeah. Is there anyone here in the call that likes to hike or likes adventurous stuff, climbing mountains? I guess you guys can put like a blue emoji. Because I'm a very adventurous person. I like the nature. I like to climb mountains, to view the sunrise, to view this the sunset as well. So a few weeks ago, I had planned to celebrate my birthday at a summit of a glacier. My birthday's on February 5th. So I had all my desires to conquer the summit of the glacier. I'll try to share the pictures of the mountain. It's called Nevado Santa Isabel. I try to share the pictures so you guys can see how the mountain is at the end. So the journey I had prepared myself a couple months ago. I had prepared my body, my mind as well to climb the summit because it was a pretty tough climb to reach. So on Sunday, we have to wake up at 1:30 a.m. to start the expedition at 2 a.m. So we had to pair all of our equipment, all of our gear to, because there's special gears that we had to have to actually climb the mountain, to actually set foot on the snow. So we had woken up at 1:30 a.m., but there was a bit of a delay at that time. The transport that we had to get to the initial walk, the transport didn't arrive at time. So we got there at 4 a.m., which was pretty late to start the walk because we had to get there at 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. So we started at 4 a.m. Inside of the walk. I started all with all my excitement, the walk. I was nearly there then, walking for 3 hours there, but I was already feeling the climate change, the air being more thicker, the the height, the altitude was getting way more strong for my body. So I knew I had to stop at some point because my body was giving me signals that I couldn't continue climbing the mountain. So I know I couldn't continue to climb the top of the mountain because my body couldn't. So I had to listen to my body. So I had all desire to continue the mountain, to get to the top of the mountain, but I guess the mountain had another message to give to me. It can always be achieved in the first, it can't always be achieved at the first attempt. So I had to be honest with myself and accept that that was okay, even though I had a mix of emotions of disappointed and angry that I couldn't get to the top, that I had to stop at some point because of my body. Because if I did continue, I guess my body would have collapsed and I would have fainted on the top of the mountain.
Yep.
And accept that I had another opportunity to try again. And that also leads to any professional accomplishments, any personal accomplishments as well. And the only thing is to never stop trying to do it again and persist in doing what you really want. If something doesn't go as planned as something doesn't go as planned as you want, there's always different paths to approach it. So that's why I had to accept it. And when I was coming then back down to the mountain, I looked back and I said, I'm going to conquer you again. And yeah, that's the story of the mountain. I hope.
So I love that story, especially for this presentation, because there's so many parallels to how we grow as humans in our journey, you know, career wise or otherwise, and parallels for things that can happen along the way. So some information that that summit was at 5,000 feet approximately, right? And you and your group got to 4,500 feet before you had to stop. So some parallels I already see are you and your group had to take time to prepare your the things you needed to complete the hike, right? So if we're talking about professional wise, those could be things like you doing the certifications, you know, you reaching out and getting knowledge from other people. So I can definitely see that parallel. Whenever we start into tech or decide we want to get into tech and start charting out our career, of course, you know, our aspiration is whatever that summit is for us. And sometimes it can feel like if we don't get to that summit within a certain time period or a certain company, then we have those same emotions of anger, or, you know, if our body is giving out, it could be things like, hey, we need to take a vacation, or we need to listen to ourselves and reassess, come try the summit on another day or a different way. So we'll kind of keep alluding to that story and how it aligns as we go forward. But it just, I really wanted Sara to share that because it perfectly captures who she is personally and professionally, and it's a lesson that we could definitely all learn from. So as we were talking, we kind of left off with you had done a journey of self-exploration. You have decided that you were going to take a chance and become a designer. You got some skills in that. Once you started working with a company, you kind of transitioned into QA by taking the initiative to reach out and let it be known that you wanted to learn these skills and do these items and leave the breadcrumbs, as you said, so that you could start in a way advocating for yourself. So at this point in the story, you're doing QA. Let's pick up there and tell us about how you kind of grew in the QA segment and how you changed during that process.
So during the process of in the role of QA, I learned a lot of experience inside of the role. And one thing that I wanted to share is that even when times get hard or when you're seeing like that opportunities are not there at the moment, I never actually gave up. I never gave up. I kept pursuing what I really wanted to do and what I really wanted to accomplish and the things that I wanted to learn. So even things get hard, just advocate for yourself, see what you have accomplished along the way and keep trying, just keep trying and keep growing those skills into something something more. And always just find joy in something that you do. Because like I said in the beginning, I never knew what I really wanted to actually pursue in life or what I really wanted to do. And doing these transitions has really I have really seen that I really enjoy tech and I really enjoy the journey in tech, and I'm advocating for my career and doing a lot of different things so I can inspire other people also, that even if you don't have a background in technology or you don't have a like a major degree of college, you can still learn these things because the internet's so wide and these areas in tech are so wide as well, that there's a lot of opportunities for everyone to actually join, because we actually do need a lot of people inside of tech, especially women in tech, that we need
We need a
to.
lot of women in tech. We need a lot of people from a lot of different groups in tech because a lot of groups are just not represented that well. So one thing you mentioned is that you learned how to advocate for yourself. You learned how to kind of track your accomplishments. Um, I will say that I know that you said you reached out to people for information and help in your career, but you also gained just a lot of relationships inside of work and outside of work to kind of help support your career in tech along the way, right? Whether that's encouragement, whether it's extra knowledge, whether it's just knowing that people are in your corner. How did that impact your journey? Just knowing that you had people who were rooting for you or were there for you genuinely.
So as I was feeling like a bit insecure or uncertain about different things inside of the QA stuff or inside of tech, just because I was really new inside of the field, and I didn't really actually use my voice a lot. I was like a bit in a corner, just trying to get myself in speed of like things of like how does tech work, or how does these different roles can help me out into something more. So reaching out to people and reaching out to other different people inside of tech as tech, and hearing their experience and hearing their journey inside of here, what they also had to accomplish to get to a point where they're at in life. And also me really taught me of like using my voice more and gaining that confidence of opening up a bit more, and just like realizing to not have fear in speaking up. And speaking up and using your voice more does really help. Just advocating your voice into something that you really want to do in life. So that really helped me a lot more, realizing that I can use my voice more, even if it's not a good opinion or it's not a good idea, but I'm still using and contributing my voice into something that I want to build and build my career.
Yeah. And you know me well enough to know that like good for me is in quotes, because it's a learning journey for all of us, right? So depending on where you are and lots of other different factors, good is subjective. But I personally witnessed, so for those of you who don't know, Sarah and I worked really closely together on the same team. And when we had first started working together, she had told me that she wanted to go to her next transition, which we'll talk about, which is learning some software engineering skills. And Sarah had amazing ideas and amazing inputs, amazing just knowledge about the product that regular software developers wouldn't know because they hadn't been all over the product. So when we first started working together, she'd share these ideas and ask me to share them. I think that kind of speaks to a little bit of the fear, right? But after those ideas being shared and her getting credit and seeing how the team adopted to them, I'm assuming that probably gave you some more courage or motivation to be able to take that step to start speaking out on your own. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So like reflecting and seeing that I was welcomed to actually use my voice. I was welcome to actually give opinions and give suggestions of different various problems, I guess, inside of a project. Really helped me to understand and maintain that passion and that curiosity and drive into different types of transitions that, like you mentioned, transitions into a more I guess more powerful role, because like a dev work, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of knowledge to actually do dev work. And I took that step. I took that lead of faith, I guess, to take initiatives of doing some simple dev tasks that allowed me to actually transition my my learning and my continuous learning into that role and that passion.
So Sarah's being really humble here and saying simple dev tasks because she actually tackled like dependency heck, as we call it, right? These are not simple tasks all the time. And I really just want to point out that so the team we are on, dependencies, was part of it. And she literally took the initiative to say, can I do this? I want to do this. How do you do this? Let me learn from you. And then just taking the step and saying, I'm gonna take this ticket. There was that day where she decided, I'm gonna take the ticket, and she did her first software engineering ticket. So even though she was still doing QA support fabulously and had a super wide range of knowledge for the whole product, way more than most software developers do, because we're kind of siloed as work goes on. It was really inspiring to me and a lot of our other teammates, whether those teammates were in operations, customer service, QA, dev. There was a lot of eyes on Sara that even if they didn't express it to the wider group, that they were watching her and learning and being inspired. And I personally know that inspired a lot of people's decision to start learning on their own, to start getting certifications on their own, and to start believing in themselves that, you know, if that path was something that they wanted, that they were able to achieve it, and they had representation in Sara, that they, could do it. So obviously Sara and I are both women, and we were on the same tech team, but representation is different for everybody. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that it was really great to have representation as women in tech coming from different areas and working on the same problem, and how much Sara truly inspired so many people to either further their career or reevaluate their own career to see if they were still as passionate about what they do as Sara was about what she did. So I interrupted you there big time. Forgive me.
Problem. Something I wanted to add on something that you were saying is that sometimes we tend to not give ourselves credit for a lot of things that we do, and we don't actually see the whole accomplishments that we have made inside of our path, in our career path, and we don't tend to give ourselves like a pat in the back for those achievements that we had. And thanks to you, you gave me, like you said, hey, make an achievement page so you can actually see what you have accomplished and what your personal growth has been and your challenges and what you have done. And I did that. I did the achievement page. I did a 3-year of inside of a company, what I did. And that made me realize all the things that I did inside of a company. And I never gave myself credit, or I said, hey, Sara, you did all of this and you didn't give yourself credit. So yeah, I think Christina should be right there. So and have a lot of credit for yourself as well, because we need that. We need some encouragement from ourselves and from other people as well.
So I shared the
ourselves more. And
I'm sorry, I think I'm lagging on my end here.
yeah.
I shared the achievements page that you ended up making. So can everybody see that? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Tomorrow? Okay, cool. So obviously I took, we took some screenshots so it wouldn't share any company information, but this is some of my favorite parts of her achievement page. So Sara, do you want to kind of walk us through this slide and explain how Notion is so awesome for this? No, just explain what you did and kind of the impact of tracking your achievements made on you.
So I tracked these achievements in the 3 years that I'm inside a company. I was inside of the company. So I just broke it down into different projects that I was doing at the moment. Either they were a project of QA, a project of leadership. I put different tags into those projects. So even there are QA projects, leadership projects, engineering projects, or support projects. I broke them down into a table, and just seeing that I did all of that, really inspired myself, and I try to inspire also other people to make achievements page or make a documentation and recognize the growth and the wins that you have done inside of the journey, inside of your own journey as well. Like I said, it's a very satisfying way to see how much you have grown inside of a company, or grew grown inside of as your as a person.
Yeah. So one of the things I really liked that you decided to do was make so for anybody who doesn't know, she used Notion for this page. So everybody can get a free Notion. It's awesome. I know how to use it about 2%, but Sarah's really, really good at it. So maybe she can give some lessons. But one thing she did was make a table, and you guys can see it, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but in this first picture to the left, you can see the table, and the column she had was accomplishments, number of issues, the role she was doing for that task, what she learned, the tech skills or tools she used, and then she has a file name, so that's for, internal. Obviously, you wouldn't keep files for external, but we couldn't share some of the what she learned sections because it just had company specific information. But I did want to point out that this number of issues column is important, because when it comes time to ever do your resume or ask for a raise, ask for promotion, numbers is the language that businesses speak. So being able to say I did 800 dependency issues, or I solved 400, customer service issues, or I took on 84 leadership tasks, really helps you kind of fill out that resume. Sara, one of my favorite sections is the what you learned section, and you really kept some great insights in that part. Can you share a little bit about what you got from being able to write down and look back and just document your actual learning journey?
So one thing that I learned from, I guess, this achievement page, and what I've learned from those different projects were um, always being a step ahead of things, I guess, taking those initiatives and reaching out uh, to the opportunities that you want. And I guess women in tech are not always noticed because this industry is so big. So I guess they're not always noticed at the moment. But making those initiatives and making those steps to actually be seen has been really helped me out. And of course, I said that in some part it did kind of scared me trying to do all of these tasks and these engineering tasks as well, because it was something that I wasn't very familiar with. But leaving also that step, yeah, that step to move forward into things, that really helped me out. There was a lot of challenges along the way as well, of being also in that corner and not using the voice, like I said, but just using my abilities to grow inside of those different roles really taught me a lot, and as a person inside of and also in my professional career.
Definitely. So I do want to point out that, with the things we're looking at on this screen, Sara's role was the QA. She took the initiative to learn the engineering and ended up doing tons of engineering work. She took the initiative to do all kinds of leadership initiatives on the QA team. So this was for Sara, like she's communicated, she grew a lot and learned a lot from these experiences. But as you can imagine, as you ask for, as you chart your own career path, if you have documentation of leadership skills or engineering skills that you've done, those things are the next step above in your career path, and you have proof of them, it makes the journey into getting to your next step a whole lot easier. And as Sara said, she learned a lot about herself as she was writing down these accomplishments. Now I will say I made this slide and kind of took my favorite parts out of it. I added this Q4 summary at the end because I really loved how you said, Sara, that you added value to the team and yourself. And that just makes my heart super happy. Like, because that's what it's about. It's not just getting to a certain career or title or pay status or company, but it's the journey as we grow in ourselves along the way. So I love seeing that from you. Um, it says you utilized your ideas more and delved more into different areas, and you opened up a variety of possibilities for yourself. So can you tell us a little bit about, as Sara, as the woman, what those realizations were like for you as you were making them and as you were realizing that you were doing the thing, like you were actually doing it, and how it changed you?
So opening the wide of like possibilities for me is that inside of those transitions that I did from operations specialist, associate QA engineer, then doing a bit more engineering work, I opened up that variety, saying that that path of like, hey, you can go into a different role that allows you to do other exploration for yourself, learn other things inside of a different role. And that's what I like to do. I really like to learn different things in a lot of things, even personal or professional careers. I like to learn about a thing. If I'm really interested about a thing, I like to learn it a lot. So I like to take the steps in learning that and allowing myself to grow into those different kinds of, of positions in life. So that's what I said, like possibilities, or it could be then transitioning into more engineering role, more programming role, learning more about coding. So yeah, that.
All right, well, those are awesome takeaways from that. I want to bring up this bottom part that I added on there. This is my favorite sentence from your whole achievement page. um, and you said that one of the results is that you felt like you were ready to take the steps forward to live a more fulfilling and satisfying life for you. So, as a woman in tech, it's not always easy, but it is pretty super great sometimes, most of the time. But this is the important part to me, that this journey wasn't just about the technical skills, but it was about opening yourself up, right? To ask for and go after what you deserve in life and what you want in life. So whether we're talking about women in tech, whether we're talking about women in general, we're lots of different areas. People in general just kind of have a hard time sometimes accepting what they want in life or what they deserve in life. And so I'm personally really super happy you put that on there. If you want to add anything to that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I guess like we were saying, just reach out what you want in life and opportunities for yourself, advocate and for yourself as well. And we can like grow all as women in tech to share and advocate for each and one of us to stay connected in this journey, because we do need a lot of women in tech, and stay connected with each other and help and yeah, motivating ourselves to go into different paths and explore different careers as well. So yeah, encourage everyone to connect with different people inside of your community, women or men. But yeah, there's a lot of people here that have stories and have journeys, and we can all hear those different types of journeys and connect with from different kinds of cultures as well. So yeah.
Awesome. So you talked a little bit about, or you mentioned a couple times advocating for yourself. So throughout your journey so far in tech, you changed as a person, your skills changed, and you made an impact on the people that you worked with and the other people in your community, right? So the title of this talk is Changing Tech from the Inside. Um, as you reflect back on your journey, how do you feel that you were able to, like, how do you advocate for yourself? How do you advocate for other people on your team? And what were some of those, like, how did that change where you are in tech? So now I threw a lot of questions at you there. So first of all, what is advocating for yourself?
I guess advocating for myself is taking those initiatives, even if they're scary, even if they're uncomfortable, getting out of that comfort zone. Even right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm getting out of my comfort zone and talking to everyone that's on the call and making myself heard in the journey. And so everyone can connect with different type of ways. So that's advocating for myself, taking those initiatives, that curiosity that led me to new things in life. And doing something that I really enjoy, not something that I don't want to do or pursue further in life. So these aspirations that I want to keep growing in my life, keep growing as an individual, keep growing my career inside of tech, because it's a wide industry. It's a lot of different opportunities here. So keep advocating for what I really want to do instead of my career path. So yeah, and just keep learning because there's a lot of things to learn here.
Yeah. And you mentioned how your career, like charting your own career path, really ties to advocating for yourself. So when we hear the word advocate, a lot of times that can mean, or it can bring to mind like standing up for somebody, but really just planning and documenting is a big part of advocating for ourselves along the way. So moving into the next question about advocating for other people or helping other people, I'd like you, if you're willing, to talk a little bit about the experience where we had another woman join the tech team. So this was a really interesting experience because she joined as a software engineer. She does have a degree. You obviously came from a different path, no degree, but still doing software engineering roles. And we kind of all worked together on some of the same initiatives. So people often have this imposter syndrome, or like, well, I don't know as much, or I'm not whatever, if you didn't start out in the same place. But I personally witnessed you advocate for this new woman team member, and teach, and just, it went all, everybody taught each other. Is a great symbiotic relationship, but you did advocate for others in that situation. Do you have anything to add to that experience, or maybe some realizations you had during that time?
So I guess that was thanks to you. That was thanks to you. You really got me to think about helping other people and helping other women in tech and teaching them as well, and giving them some kind of like inspiration. Because you're very admirable in what you do and what you want to accomplish inside of like a lot of things. So I try to make like a environment that was comfortable for her, just so she can feel like she was safe and she was in a spot where she can share her ideas freely, that there was no judgment of even if there were bad ideas or good ideas, because there's not bad or good ideas. But just along the way, just supporting the process, because I also was in that spot. You also supporting my process as well, and in some kind of way. And yeah, make different an environment and supporting, and along the way just helping out, and also learning from that person as well.
Right. So you made some great points there, just pointing out like, no matter what background we come from, no matter what culture we come from, we all can learn from each other, and we can all teach each other as well. And you did a really great job of that. So honestly, you stepped into some even more leadership roles of leading and mentoring and just sharing the knowledge. And that was really great to watch. And that definitely applies to in-work situations, but just community situations as well. Which we know that that's your heart, because you're here, for that reason, to share and to inspire. So that's just a really important point, that it kind of passes down the line, right? And when we have people supporting us, whether that's in the community or on the job, then we learn by that example, and we can then support others along the way, which is a huge growth point for us as women in tech and people in general. So anyhow, I'm super proud of you for that. So along the way, everybody has challenges. This is a great career. It affords many, many benefits. But besides just documenting your achievements page, what are some things that you've learned along the way or just realized?
Um, just a way of like taking my journey into different directions, I guess. Taking either it was at the beginning that I didn't know anything, I was a newbie, then leveling up into a bit more ground of tech, and then now that I have more familiarity and have been in different projects and have contributed into different I guess yeah projects inside of inside of a company, that allowed me to grow in realizing that I can also help out other people as well and inspire them to um emphasize sorry like help them grow inside of their professional career as well. And taking a lot of those parts into something good in life. So I grew as a person along the way, and I'm going to keep growing inside of tech, inside of professional career. And I hope like everyone can connect with what I'm saying today, and also, yeah, and see how it goes from there.
Awesome. So I'm going to bring this mountain story back into play here. So we've heard this journey of going from not being in tech at all, exploring yourself, um, to taking the first tech role, which is the designer, right? So to me, that's like the point of the story where you're preparing. You go into QA, you reach out to people, you do certification classes on your own, you learn skills on your own. This is preparing the things you need for the journey, and even maybe I don't know how hiking works, but I guess some point you probably stop and eat a snack or something, right? So like it's using those preparations as you go. So in your real hike of this mountain, it was about 3 hours, you said, of walking to the point where you got to the 4,500 foot level, right? So this is 500 feet away from the summit, and your body starts to give out. So I'm going to step in, and just from my own experience and the wide network of people I know in tech, we know that like just the data says that 83% of people in tech at some point like have a massive burnout, or and it's just natural for people to like pivot, whether it's positions or companies, or just focus, taking time for themselves. So for me personally, that part of your story relates to like, okay, I experienced burnout and my body literally gave out. Like I was throwing up every day. We're just, I mean, maybe metaphorically, maybe not. But the point is, there comes a point where things don't feel right anymore, right? And we have to reassess what's going on. So that could be deciding you didn't want to do customer service. That could be me deciding, like, I'm sick of dependencies. It could be lots of different things. But how in your career or talking to other people do you think that part of the mountain story relates, where you just have to kind of stop and reassess to pivot for whatever reason?
I guess what you just said, stop and assess for a moment. Uh, just be honest with yourself as well. Even I did want to continue. I really wanted to continue the mountain, but then I had to just be honest with myself and say, you actually can't continue. If you continue, you'll burn out your body, or what else was something would have happened. But yeah, stop and assess. Take some time for yourself as well. See other perspectives that you can see, like inside of like inside of a company, or inside of like yeah business strategy. So if you also feel like a need to switch also careers, or switch also like a different role, or switch also a company that you've been there for many years, also that's okay. If you've been there for a lot of years and you want to seek out another opportunity, that's also fine. It's okay to stop and then come back when your mind and your body is ready. So that helped me a lot, to actually just be honest and to actually just stop for, I guess, for a second, and realize that I had to, yeah.
Yep. And it's a really important, it's really important for me to say this to everybody, and is for you and everybody, that we often feel like that one thing is the summit, but life is not like that. like hardly ever, right? We decide like we just have to stop because we're humans, and we have to stop because we change as people along the way. So you talked about a lot of growth in your journey. It's not reasonable to say that any of us should still want the same thing we wanted 3 years ago or when we first learned about tech. And this is a normal part of the process. So a lot of the people that we talk to say like, what part of tech should I choose? Should I do front end? Should I do back end? Should I do design? Should I do automated testing? And the reality is you're not going to know until you just start up the mountain, right? Until you start taking the journey. And it's perfectly fine to stop, to rest, to change directions, to come back another day or another way. It's still the same journey. And we all have permission to do that. Like we give ourselves permission to do that. And that's really, really important. So I know we've talked about a ton of different things here. You've definitely talked about how you've advocated for yourself and learned how to plan your own career, to be honest with yourself, listen to your mind, listen to your body, listen to the cues about, hey, I really like doing this one thing in operations. I like debugging. I like solving the problems. So maybe I like doing that in QA. Oh, in QA, I really like being able to see the whole picture. And maybe I want to be able to provide the solution in software engineering way. And then you step from, I don't like just being able to provide the solution, but I want to be able to encourage and provide the tools to teach a team and leadership. So it's really admirable that you took all these steps on your own. Companies are companies. Sometimes they give us titles, sometimes they don't. But as a human, you recognize in yourself the things that you enjoyed and you took the initiative to grow in them. And that's one of the lessons I want everybody to take away from this. And as you continue on your career, you will be going on the career path that you charted for yourself. So I guess my question is, charting your own career path, no one really tells you how to do that, but how important was that aspect for you growing as a person and growing in your career and your future goals, whatever those are?
So I guess not having that education, not having that technical, I guess, degree that a lot of people have or a lot of people don't have, but I guess allowing myself to accept that I can do what I really want to do and enjoy also something that I really want to learn about. So inside of my aspirations and new goals for this year, I guess, is just like keep advocating for myself and also reach out to or they reach out to people that also are in the same path as me or want to achieve also accomplishments in their roles and yeah, and just make it a community where all of us can help each other and stay connected and have a good environment to for women in tech and also anybody as well. So I encourage others to actually use all their potential in like the tech industry and yeah, and keep moving forward, keep or looking for that perspective on personal growth and the future challenges.
Awesome. So we've been talking for a long time. Thank you everybody for hanging in with us. I do want to just open the floor for a minute and see if anybody has any questions about any of the areas we talked about or comments. It doesn't have to be super formal. We're all here just having a conversation. So if you have something to say, just unmute yourself and let it go. So Richie, I see you put a comment in the chat. Do you want me to read it or do you want to go ahead and just come on the mic?
Oh, hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can read it. What difficulties of the journey in tech do you feel were specific to being a Latina woman? And what could non-women of color do to make working on diverse teams more enjoyable and inviting?
It's a good question. So I'm just gonna answer the first one that you put. So difficulties of being a Latina woman inside of my journey in tech have been that were not really appreciated in some type of way. But if you do, like, we're like the whole thing that we're speaking about, we advocate and we take initiatives and we do something that we really want to do. There's not a difference of being Latina and a Latina woman or a woman in general. So, but I guess that was the difficulty of not being seen as very much as other different women inside of tech. And I guess the other one was what could not.
So like what could, when we were working together in our relationship, obviously there's different cultures with you living in South America, although you had lived in America before. And I have a different experience as a white woman in tech than you do of a woman in color in tech. So what are some of the things that women who are in tech, or people in general who are in tech who are not, Latina or underrepresented in different ways, like what were the actions that made you feel welcome and made you feel invited?
I guess just it made me feel invited or enjoyable, I guess. Working with different team members, I guess. Working with different team members, working with different people from different parts of the world, because since it's a big industry, I had an opportunity to work with different types of people inside of the different parts of the world. And I got to learn a lot from them, and they made me feel like invited into different projects, invited into the industry, and making myself not feel that I wasn't invited or just because I was in South America. I wasn't. So that made it very enjoyable to be part of those different types of areas.
So a difference I'm just going to call out is that anybody who knows me knows I'm pretty outspoken, for better or for worse. We're just rolling with it. But that's partly a cultural thing, right? In America, I feel a lot more safe that if I do speak out, if I do advocate for somebody, if I do take a risk, that the end result is probably not going to be as dire as people in different countries, right? Who maybe don't have as many work opportunities, or the pay is lower, or just the cultural outlet, like the outlook is different, right? So it's a lot less risky for me to take a risk than it would be for somebody working in India who has to support like multiple generations with their income, or maybe somebody from, like, I've never lived in South America, so this is kind of assumption, but I'm assuming it might feel a little more uncomfortable as a woman in South America to speak out. So being able to see people from different cultures and how they work in the corporate world, was that something that taught you something, or let you feel like you had a little more freedom?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
So you had said that working with people from different cultures taught you different things. So was being able to work with people who felt more comfortable, whether it was using their voice or disagreeing on a tech decision or just taking the initiative to take leadership, what are some of those things that maybe Latina women don't feel as comfortable with that you learned from other cultures?
I guess don't feel comfortable speaking out a lot, I guess. Just because I was in that position, I wasn't comfortable speaking out a lot, but hearing the other experience from the other women or other, I guess, team members inside of the company did allow me to say, hey, I'm also welcome and invited to use my voice, even though if I'm from a different part of a country, I can also use my voice to speak up and give ideas and give suggestions as well. But being a Latina woman kind of you feel like you are not able to actually speak up more than, I guess, from a person in the United States, just because of the risk of, I don't know, not losing the job, but just the risk of like not being valued, I guess, into like different kinds of opinions that you give.
Yeah, and that's a very valid experience that many people have, because America's, put on a pedestal in weird, not fair ways at all. And then it's not just women from different cultures, but women in general often feel like they can't speak up. Women, anybody who has had experiences where they've been silenced or abused or oppressed in any way often feels the same way. So even though you're sharing that from, Latina woman's experience and working in a different country experience, I'm sure that it resonates with a lot of different groups as well. Christian, I see you have your hand raised. You can go ahead and jump in. Maybe. You're still muted, so if you're talking, we can't hear you. Okay, well, we'll come back to Christian. Does anybody else have any? Oh, yeah, we can hear you now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was trying to get myself a mute, but now I'm on mute. So I wanted to ask Sarah a question. This is a great story, very inspiring. But as being a Latina woman in this kind of industry of tech, where it's constantly growing and changing, and sometimes we have to adapt to these kind of changes. How do you motivate yourself to these uprising changes with AI or learning new procedures? How do you motivate yourself as a Latina woman working in a different culture?
Thanks for that question, Christian. I guess I motivate myself from different people. And I can say this from Christina. Christina has motivated me to be here today and share my journey, share my experience, even being a Latina woman in tech and doing all the different things that I have done inside of tech. And keeping myself motivated is continuous learning and advocating for myself, as we have been speaking. That's very important, advocating and continuous learning into reaching something that you want to accomplish. And this is the whole part of the story about the mountain, is that I motivated myself to actually want to reach the top of the mountain, but it was in the right moment at the moment, I guess. And I could try a second try and keep persisting and keep trying and keep allowing myself to make mistakes or make any errors along the way. So keeping myself involved with other different kinds of people inside of the industry also helps me motivate myself to keep continuing in this journey right now as a Latina woman.
I love how you pointed out that connecting to people and inspiring other people is part of your fuel to keep going. I did share with everybody some of the pictures of some of your hiking journeys. We have one more that's coming up that's my favorite, but look at these views. Like, this is way up there. Even if it wasn't the summit, I would never have known by looking at these pictures. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for how far we've come, like Sara said, and we don't recognize where we are and the beautiful place that we are and how far we've climbed. So these pictures kind of capture that for me personally, anyways.
And I like what you put there. The journey is yours. Keep climbing. That goes for everything. Keep climbing and keep reaching what you want to accomplish in your professional career and personal life. Just keep climbing towards what you really want. And because when you get to the top, it's the most satisfying thing that you can feel. And that's what I feel when I climb these mountains. Even there are hours and hours climbing the mountain, but when I get to the top, it's just the most satisfying feeling ever. So that goes for everything. Just keep climbing and keep reaching for what you want.
And from my personal opinion, the top could just be a 200. It could be the thing deployed. It could be the test pass. Like, there's lots of little wins along the way, and we should celebrate those. I see Jessica has put a question in the chat. Jessica, you can hop in and get on the mic. or let us know if you want us to just read it.
Sorry, you can read because I'm not seeing the chat right now. I
Okay.
don't know what's happening.
So it says, Sarah, do you have any advice for a Latina woman who has not experienced, who doesn't have experience in the tech companies in the United States and looking for the job? She asks her questions because she's having difficulty finding a job, even with experience in Brazil and experience as a business analyst and with a Brazilian tech logistical company. So how do you kind of transfer to get into the roles in the United States?
So I guess one advice or one encouraging thing I can say about a Latina woman that doesn't have experience in tech companies in the US is if this goes with like if you really want to really do want to do something and want to accomplish something inside of that, even though if you're Latina or white or any other race inside of the world, I mean, just don't give up. I mean, those experience, not having experience in companies or not having any experience at all in tech, but reaching out to people that are inside of the industry and that can give you another, I'm sorry if this isn't the best advice right now, but we can connect later if you want, and we can speak a bit more about that. Yeah, just reaching out to other people or just trying to learn and learn about what a tech industry does or what a business strategy is for, and learn about the product and the projects and different things that the tech company has.
So you spoke to something that I think is important here, that when you're first when you're going through a transition, right, no matter where you are in the world or what race you are, and especially if it's your first kind of more official tech role, it can be a struggle, right? So keeping the initiative, keeping a forward movement. But in your story specifically, you had reached out to a company that did contract work. Is that right?
Yes, that did contract work. I reached out and just seek the opportunity, even though if I didn't have any experience on it. I just dived into like that leap of faith of gaining, because gaining knowledge is, for me, when you're inside of a company, you're doing real tasks inside of the company, that's where you learn the experience for me. That's where you learn inside of like those real projects inside of the company, even if you don't know or have any background in it. But getting that knowledge inside of a company is valuable. So that really helped out me doing those real projects, doing those real tasks, and also reaching out to other people that can help me out with those tasks.
So also networking, whatever your goal is, whether it's to work for a US company, a UK company, a specific company, I do just want to add in that like networking with the people at those companies or in that area is a really great doorway in, because networking just gets us a lot of jobs here. I switched to the next screen. So it's got a link to connect with Sara on LinkedIn. And it's got my favorite picture ever of her that she shared with me. This is also on another mountaintop. We have a few minutes left, but I do want to save a few minutes just for her to close out. So does anybody else have any comments or questions before we close out?
Christina, can y'all put the LinkedIn link in the chat?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Can somebody else take that for me though? Because I like can't do more than one screen.
I got it.
Work in tech. All right. So Sara, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing so much of your experience and knowledge and advice along the way. I know you continuously inspire me personally. We're super glad to have you as part of our group. And we just appreciate your time sharing everything that you've been through on your journey with us. Do you have any closing remarks, just kind of bringing it all together for the message that you want to make sure to leave us with today?
I guess, yeah, thank you, Christina. Thank you for allowing me to share my journey with everyone that's here. Thank you for everyone that connected and stayed on the call and listened to the whole experience that I've been through. Much appreciated. The I guess the thing that I had to say is what you put there. Just keep climbing, just keep looking forward, reach out for what you want, because there's a lot of opportunities inside of this industry and a lot of other industries. And also, let's just all grow together so we can build a great women community and other communities as well. And also, if you guys want to connect with me and also want to have a conversation about other different types of things inside of tech, always welcome. Always, my LinkedIn is always open. So yeah, much appreciated to everyone that was on the call and stayed and listened to my story. Thank you very much. And this was my very first speaking conference, I guess, and I was super nervous, but just getting out of my comfort zone. So thank you, Christina, for everything that you have done for me.
Yep. Well, thank you for everything you do for everybody. I'm going to share one last screen, or maybe two. So here's our Twitter, Instagram. We're at www.code.gville. We have a Facebook page as well if anybody wants to connect. Oops, I'm not sharing it. And we also have a Slack group, so anybody can join. We really appreciate everybody being here today, and we look forward to seeing you on our different channels, and just thank you for joining us, for sharing this journey.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, bye.
Have a good day. Thank you.